Hello, and welcome to Chapter Select at the Movies, the show where we watch movies based on video games and then talk about them.
We-
Randy, it's been too long since we've done this.
I was going to add to your deal. We watch the movies and talk about them when we so damn well please,
When we are ready, when we are
or
darn well ready.
when life works out. We are
As-
recording this in the smallest time frame possible between our two crazy schedules. When our schedules aren't crazy, one of us is under the weather. It's been a fun month. How's it going?
yeah, mostly sick. So, and I think you've had the same experience.
Yeah, the spring sucks. Spring sucks for us nerds.
In between being really, really sick, we did watch Ratchet and Clank, the 2016, was it? Movie?
2016 movie.
2016 CGI movie, kind of made concurrently with the reboot game.
Yeah.
And, I don't have that much to say about it because it's a Ratchet and Clank thing.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was thinking about while we were trying to coordinate our time today to finally be able to record this. Was I was like, we don't have a lot of time to talk, but at least it's this movie that we have set ourselves up. Now, yes, we've waited a long time to finally get to this recording. However, I mean, even if I had never played the 2016 game, which takes a lot of the cutscenes from the movie. And again, it's a great tie-in, and I think they work really well together. Even if I had not played the game, at the end, this is a fine kids movie where I think there's nothing horrendous about it, but there's nothing memorable about it either. It's just a fun family movie.
I think part of it, the feeling I have of it is, I have this. Actually, I've got two of these that are fan edits of Wing Commander 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, Wing Commander 3 and 4. So Wrath of the Tiger and The Price of Freedom, both of which are big, as you might know. Chris Roberts directed, huge big live action stars, cutscenes, FMV video games. And somebody took those FMV cutscenes and kind of cut them together into like a 2.5 hour movie each for each game.
Mm-hmm.
And when you watch them, it's kind of impressive how well it works. You're like, wow, this almost feels like a real movie. And that's the reaction I had to this, where I was like, oh yeah, that's like the fan film based on 2016 Ratchet and Clank that almost feels like a real movie. But the thing that takes me out of it is the same as with Wing Commander, because you don't get the missions, right? You get all the in between the mission stuff, but you don't get the missions. And I have the same feeling with this, where there are like 2 or maybe 3 kind of semi-memorable set pieces, but mostly it feels like we're actually skipping over the good stuff. The movie makes a big point of referencing a lot of things from the game, of like giving you all the introductions to all the weapons, including like the ratings, and like lots of little touches, which I assume, and I don't remember the game well enough, but maybe that exists because in the game they're incorporating those little bits whenever you get a new weapon, whereas here it's like a montage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm with you. It's been a long time since I played the game, but it would make absolute sense that it was the same way that they introduced them. I do credit at least this movie in general for allowing them to reboot Ratchet and Clank from the old PS2 days. They went, all right, we'll remake the first game basically, and kind of up-res everything and make everything look great and work better with the newer systems. And I absolutely love Ratchet and Clank 2016, the video game. But yeah, I'm with you. There's a lot of times in this movie where I went, man, it's been a long time since I played the game. I think right here is where a level breaks out. It's like the characters will run off. You're like, and now you grab your control. Oh, I can't grab my controller. We're just going to continue on. So, but saying that, while that is kind of a hindrance where it's like it's close to being a great movie, but it's just missing its pieces. Again, I don't think there's anything terrible about it.
There's nothing offensive. Like, it's not
a bunch of fantastic voice actors. So I think the voice actors all great. The voice acting was fantastic. They had a ton of Easter eggs in there that kind of made you laugh. And overall, the story was fine.
I like Paul Giamatti a lot in this as the bad guy. I also always enjoy Rosario Dawson, who plays the hacker chick. I don't remember if they were in the video game as well. I don't remember if just exactly how much synergy there was, but I know when they marketed this movie, they focused entirely on the real stars of like, hey, we got Rosario Dawson, we got Paul
Mhm.
Giamatti. But what I do appreciate, despite that, is that it does have like how often do you go to a movie theater version, a movie adaptation of a video game, and they've got the original voice actors.
Mhm.
So that's a nice thing, even though it's obviously due to the mechanics of how this movie was made. But yeah, it's got all the classic kind of Ratchet and Clank stuff as far as introducing Captain Quark, and he's, like the best comparison would be like a Zap Brannigan like figure, or I guess like a really ego bloated Captain Kirk type figure, or just
Mhm.
the hero who's in love with himself but isn't really as heroic as he wants to be, is a bit of a fraud. He sells himself out to the villain at some point and undermines his own team for a big attack. The villain is your typical, so you've got like your evil politician who's Paul Giamatti, but then he's got an evil scientist working for him who's basically done a Death Star laser
Mhm.
type weapon. And, they've got a fun dynamic between them. And yeah, here's the thing. I think the biggest problem, and this movie did not get good reviews. I actually think this movie is a little underrated just because of how, I'm not saying it's good. You seem to think it's good. Um, I don't think as a movie, there's just something, what's charming in a video game, like our standards in a
Mhm.
video game for humor are so much lower.
Yeah.
We,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
like
Again, I'm not
it's so
saying.
rare for a game to make you laugh at all that
Mhm.
like the fact that Ratchet and Clank games are like mildly funny and charming and have banter in them and likable characters and memorable bits,
Mhm.
that alone is a huge win for
Yeah.
those games. And also the production quality of the cutscenes and the vision, all that stuff in general is stuff that's like super impressive in a video game.
Mhm.
But then when you put it on a movie theater screen, your expectations relative to like what a movie is are just so much higher
Mhm.
that I do feel that it kind of feels like a nothing, like a wet fart.
Now, and I
Right.
will say, I don't think this is a good movie. I think it's a serviceable one. Again, it works really well when you watch it with the family, and
Hmm.
everyone kind of gets along with it well.
You folks liked it. The kids
Yeah,
liked it.
they thought it was fine. I don't think
Hmm.
it'll ever be asked to, hey, can we watch that?
Ha.
But it worked for its hour and a half or
That's
whatever
cool.
the runtime is.
I do agree with you that there's nothing offensive. Like in a lot of kids' movies, will resort to lowest common denominator kind of humor. Your poop jokes and all that kind of
Right.
thing, which always bother me.
Hmm.
And I wish weren't there. And this doesn't have that. This
No.
actually doesn't, or like sexual innuendo. There was very little of that, or like other things that people always feel the need to slip into kids' movies.
Hmm.
This movie does not do that. So as far as like, if you're looking for a movie that's basically completely safe for your children, I don't think there's anything in here that would
Yeah.
be seen as corrupting.
And if you're an old video game player like myself and Jens both are, they have nice little references for you. I do like when they were trying to figure out what species Ratchet is,
Hmm.
that they brought up. Was Daxter part of it? I know Crash from Crash Bandicoot was on there,
Hmm.
and they were just going through all the other tropey platform gimmicks that were all the rage there for a few years,
Hmm.
like the PS2 era. And I want to say, wasn't it one of the guys' computers turns on and it's like the original PlayStation loading
Yes.
sound? That one
Yeah.
got me
There's some
too.
of that stuff.
So they
Hmm.
have some of those little gimmicks. It's not enough to sell you on a movie, but I always
Here's
just
my
enjoy that
question
stuff in there.
to you as far as the differences between original Ratchet, because I don't know, I vaguely remembered the original PS2 games being slightly different,
Hmm.
especially as far as Clank's origin story. Do you remember that being different?
Honest,
Because in this,
Honestly, 2016 was my first ever Ratchet and Clank game.
wow,
I
okay,
now that I've been more of a game collector, I own some of them. I
oh
just have
man.
not gotten around to playing
See,
them. So.
my Ratchet and Clank fandom was at its height during the PS2 era because when you look at those games are not far off what the games are now.
Hmm.
Like you look at those and you're like, wow, freaking PlayStation 2 game looks almost as good as current gen Ratchet and Clank, and has a great story and amazing level and weapon design and all that stuff. Those games for the time, they were so good for the time. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah, I've been
they've not
wanting them to
really.
just throw them on the PlayStation stores and stuff, and I mean, they do more for the original
Mhm.
PlayStation than PS2, as far as
Yeah.
like that PlayStation Plus stuff. But I've always wanted them to go. All right, here we're just gonna go
But I think they
bonkers
made
with it.
some changes. Like I don't remember Clank being a glitch. Like in this, Clank's origin is just that the machine that makes warbots for the villains
Made an
malfunctioned
oops.
and made an oops and made a Clank basically. And he just there's no other explanation for why he's got that personality
Hmm.
or for like he's nothing like those other. You don't. He's not really a design that you'd recognize from what any of those other robots look like. So that's always seemed a little bit weird to me. Um, but yeah, so he just kind of wakes up in a factory and then goes about starting to sabotage the villain. He arrives full grown as a character.
Hmm.
But of course, Ratchet is going through the typical Ratchet and Clank storyline of he's somewhat concerned about what his origin is, but mostly in the beginning, his goal is that he wants to be a hero. He wants to be part of this group of galactic heroes that Zap Brannigan is currently the head
Hmm.
of, and Zap Brannigan reluctantly they figure that they need another member for some reason or other, and they start holding auditions. And of course, Clank appears and is rejected. But then
Ratchet is.
Ratchet,
Hmm.
sorry, yes, Clank actually is not a factor yet. The first like 20 minutes of this movie or so we spent with Ratchet
Hmm.
and Captain Quark and their relationship of how Ratchet admires Captain Quark and Captain Quark rejects him, and Ratchet feels terrible. And we also get establish him as a mechanic whose biggest flaw as a mechanic seems that he's too awesome.
You're right.
Like
He goes
his
way over
big
the top.
his big failure at the beginning is that like he like pimps out a spaceship too much and the guy can't handle it and he gets
This
blamed
may
for it.
be a reference that you don't. Maybe you did not watch the show in the '90s, but he
Uh-huh.
is Tim the Toolman Taylor for
Oh
car
sure, for yeah.
mechanics.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. He's pretty reckless in how he goes about
Hmm.
things. But yeah, but very likable. He's a likable protagonist, and you've got, but he's got his own arc of kind of coming into his own as a hero, and his big moment early on is during, when they have the big celebration to announce that they're going to be accepting a new member, and there's like a parade and all that kind of stuff. That's when the alien army attacks the first time, and Ratchet pulls this sweet maneuver where he's got this giant magnet that was established a little bit earlier in the prologue of the movie as part of his whole
Hmm.
engineering thing, and he uses the giant magnet to basically uh, grab, carry off the entire robot army and throw it into space into the alien spaceship, and kind of almost single-handedly defeating, the first wave of the invasion. And at that point, the conflict becomes that now Ratchet is the hero and Quark feels undermined, and that is when Quark decides to betray his own team.
Yeah, Quark
And
gets jealous, and this is the preamble to the boys, where the superheroes are actually just a bunch of jerks and and egocentric, and I don't know. Not
interesting, yeah.
not really, but I just wanted to
At
reference the
least
boys.
Ratchet doesn't like run right through someone's girlfriend. So
Not yet, but he's a new superhero.
that's true. But yeah, he does get a little bit too big for his britches. But honestly, I don't think they do that much with that. They don't have him be, too up his own ass about it.
Mhm.
Like there's later Ratchet and Clank stories where Ratchet gets kind of vain and has to learn a lesson about that. But for the moment, he's kind of classic Ratchet, and is basically the hero throughout.
Yeah,
He's got a nice
it's not a
yeah.
deep movie. Let's just be honest.
He's got a nice relationship with most of the team. There's some good characters. There's the tough lady soldier who I don't remember who that voice actress was, uh, but I know Rosario Dawson plays the hacker, and there's a few others. There's some of them. Did we see anybody
No,
die
Bella
during
Thorne
the?
plays Cora.
Oh, is that Bella Thorne?
Hmm.
Okay, Cora. Yeah, she was fun. Though the classic trope character.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, so they decide to be proactive for the next phase and attack the enemy base, but they're walking into an ambush because Quark sold them out. And then, of course, Ratchet doesn't know this. Ratchet's blaming himself for his failure. Am I skipping anything? It's been like 3 weeks since I've
No,
watched this
it's
movie.
there's not much to it. It's
Yeah.
it's they attack, they set up, they attack, but they don't do it with the plan. It doesn't work. Quark
What happens?
turns.
How does the third act go after the attack on the base fails? I know that Quark has kind of a change of heart
I
eventually.
want to say they just came up with the game plan, and the female scientist lady comes up with the plan. They actually listen to her, and it works.
Right. Then they've got a big finale where he gets to. Well, first Jamadi dies because the scientist. What's his doctor?
The
What's
scientist,
yeah? What's
the
who's
bad
the evil?
one, is
Yeah, who's the evil
Doctor
scientist?
Nefarious.
Doctor Nefarious. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Nefarious eventually backstabs Paul Giamatti's mayor or whatever he is, politician guy.
Yeah, because the
And
politician
then
wanted to create his own planet with the best of all these different planets, and Doctor Nefarious was like, "No, we have to be normal evil people and just want to destroy
just
everything."
revenge. Just revenge. And yeah, that pretty much. Now, Clank, we haven't talked very much about Clank. Clank basically, he eventually runs into Ratchet. They realize they've got the same agenda. They join up. And, he's just kind of a slightly sarcastic little guy who chuckles a lot
Yeah,
and
that's
is heroic and does heroic robot things. Though, you know, we don't spend as much time with him as maybe we. Again, like a lot of the cool Clank stuff is kind of gameplay stuff.
yeah, absolutely. Which is the point. So here's my question: you and I did not, or at least maybe you did,
Hmm.
but I know I didn't because
Hmm.
I didn't watch this movie until a few years after it came out. But do you think it was a good idea to have the game come out 2 weeks before the movie came out, or should it have been flipped? And this should have been kind of the here's your preview to the game, and now play all the gaming segments we cut out of these cuts.
Either way is not ideal. Either way, you're getting. Well, no, obviously, the way that it happened actually is better because you want people to have the complete experience first, and then this can be like the nostalgic. Oh, you get to, you don't have to play through all the game again. You just get to kind of relive the best
Huh.
story
I don't know if you're
moments.
gonna get nostalgia in 2 weeks, but
I know. Well, that's the problem with developing those things concurrently, right?
Mhm.
Normally, what you would want, the whole reason why you make a movie adaptation is something is that some time has passed and people have fond memories of that thing,
Mhm.
and I like, sure, I want to relive Doom again. I remember liking Doom. I wonder what that's like. You know?
To be to be determined and or
Yes.
discussed. We will need more time for that movie and all of what we will say about that. That's for
Oh, yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's just an example.
Right,
It
I
just
agree.
makes a little bit more sense. Like you want to make it like a decade or so after the fact, and then people can be like, "Oh yeah, I remember Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank was great. I should go." But you still wouldn't have that reaction because it's just, if the people who are going to see this movie are also the same people who are going to play the game, so they're going to have the same reaction that we did, which is just going, "Seeing it.
Hmm.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's this bit. Nah, they skipped some gameplay here." So that's why I just don't think it quite works.
No. It was their solution to backseat gaming, and like, well, we'll just watch all the cutscenes and then not watch the gameplay. And here, we'll just watch. We just
But I
made it
will
to a
say,
movie. I will say there are better versions of this on YouTube. You said you've seen it some with the Wing Commander stuff. I've seen it with a lot of the Naughty Dog stuff, where they cut
oh
out a
yeah, what
bunch of the
they've.
stuff and they just
Mhm.
create it to be a movie, and it ends up being 8 hours long. It works out really good.
Right. Yeah. No, it's called The Last of Us on HBO.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, I agree with you though. Like, if you take all that baggage out of it, like if I try and put myself, and this is difficult to do, and I don't want to keep it here too long because I
Mhm.
know you have other things to do. But if I try and put myself into the mindset of, say, one of your children,
Mhm.
who, well, actually, maybe not your children, because I'm sure you've played Ratchet and Clank 2016 with them. They've probably experienced it in some form
I
already,
know they've
I
watched the
assume.
the newer game
Okay, they've
for
watched you
sure.
play it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so they're familiar. So they already know the characters and have. I would really be curious how this would theoretically play for the kind of person who's never going to see it, which is somebody just looking for a children's sci-fi movie
Right.
with no pre-existing knowledge of the IP. That's what I want to know, because I do actually think it kind of sort of like, if you don't know what you're missing or if you don't know
Hmm.
what's adapting, maybe it'll hang together a little bit more and feel more like a real movie.
Yeah, I
And you
mean,
won't want to
maybe.
feel like you want to skip the, like, I just was looking for the skip the entire time.
Skip this cutscene, and then the credits roll, and you're like, "Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oops."
Yep.
I like it, but no, I agree. All right, let's get a score
Oh
on this bad
man.
boy.
I run a
Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, I let you go first. You
Yeah.
actually seem more positive on this.
Well, I just think it was there.
It was there.
I
Yeah.
forgot a lot about it. I'm sure my kids will forget all of it by then, and it won't be there. So I looked again at our movie rankings, and I went, "What other movie reminded me of that?" Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
Animal Crossing. I don't remember shit about that movie.
Oh
It was
man.
there. It was cute. It was fine. It wasn't offensive. It was just a movie.
Wow.
So I
They're so
gave.
different though. Because
So
Animal
it's
Crossing is
just
like so slice of life. It's like nothing like it's just bits. Like nothing hangs
right.
together in
So
Animal Crossing.
I'm giving Ratchet and Clank a 6.
Okay. Did you give Animal Crossing a 6?
Yeah. So did you.
What did I so did I Okay. I would say in one way this is better than Animal Crossing, which is that this tells a coherent story.
Hmm.
But in every other way, I actually think Animal Crossing is probably more watchable, despite the fact that it's more of a vignette type thing, or feels like, you know, I want to see the like I could see like a Wes Anderson version of it or something,
Okay.
like the you could go even more cutesy on it, on just kind of the little bits. I like that movie. I don't really. This to me, it's not a 6. Like it's so nothing. It's like cotton candy.
That's fair.
It's empty calories,
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So, but it's also completely inoffensive. And again, like this is stuff that like in video game form I will lap up.
Hmm.
It's just expectation management when it comes to watching a movie. I expect a movie just to do more. So I'm just gonna go straight down the middle, 5.
Five is fair. I can't disagree too much with that either. That for you, that ties it with Dynasty Warriors and Wing Commander
Mhm.
of all things. There you go.
That actually makes some sense to me. I think I would actually rather watch Wing Commander or Dynasty Warriors before watching this again.
There you go.
Both of those were more interesting.
Well, that's fair. It also just to put it into more context, your 4.5s so far. You have a bunch of them.
Uh-huh.
Assassin's Creed,
Oh yeah, God, that's
um,
I rated that too highly.
Monster Hunter.
Oh God, I rated that way too highly.
We watched Tomb Raider already. I forgot all about it.
Oh, the Angelina Jolie one.
Oh yeah, the Laura Croft one. That's right. And
That's about
then
right. 4.5. I stand behind that one.
and then couple of Resident Evil movies, Resident Evil and Resident Evil Extinction. You both gave
Oh, I, ra-
4.5.
I,
So
I rated those way too highly. Ah, sorry, there's a fly in here.
did you get it?
I don't know. I thought I did. There's a little one. Anyway, I think that's about our cue that we should call this.
All right, we need a movie for hopefully next week.
I have
Hopefully,
already chosen it.
okay.
It is what I think will be a more interesting
I would hope
adaptation.
so.
Still not the most interesting, but I think it'll probably be somewhere north of. Well, I think I don't want to make predictions on where we're going to rank it, but
Okay.
I definitely think it'll be more upper echelon
Okay.
than what we've been doing, and that is Prince of Persia.
Ooh. I honestly one I have not seen yet. So
Oh, that's exciting! I saw it in the movie theater, and I didn't hate it.
also, it's a good time because that 2D Prince of Persia just got shown on all of the different like summer
And it's
game
some kind
festive
of
things,
anniversary.
and it
Hmm.
looks really good. So I'm down for that. Again, hopefully we will not have this long break anymore. We both apologize for that.
Eh,
Again, health and schedules and life.
at this point, Randy,
Get
people
used to
can
it.
just watch. People can watch the movie in their own time, and we'll get around to it.
Yeah, but I actually more apologize to Jens because I missed this and was excited to finally get this in, and I'm glad that we're able to fit this in quickly, and I'm excited to get
It's
to
always
more
a
things,
pleasure.
especially because all this other crap is coming out. Like Twisted Metal keeps teasing stuff, yet not
Oh,
giving
man.
us a full trailer, which really scares me for this show. That it's so close, and they just keep teasing just a little
So
bit. And you're like,
coy.
oh, it's going to be so bad, isn't it?
Mhm.
Oh man. But
Well, here's the thing. I have zero attachment to Twisted Metal as a video game franchise, so I honestly don't know how I'm going to really
it's
I'm
not going
gonna
to
have
be
nothing
good.
to compare it to. I'm not gonna be able to talk about the
I
adaptation.
played so much Twisted Metal 2 back in my day.
Okay.
Again, there's zero story to it.
Mm.
You get a little story thing at the end of what the person does with their wish after they win the tournament or whatever. But,
Sounds like you're the expert, Randy.
oh yeah, totally.
All right.
And then it completely fell apart. All right, that'll do it. So next time we will get together, it will be Prince of Persia. And again,
Mhm.
Jens has said it'll be better than Ratchet and Clank. You've heard it here first. All right,
Spoiler.
there you go. All right, see you guys next time.